Amazing. Hey friends, I'm a few minutes early. Alecia String here. We're going to go through the One Thing Mastermind. Let's see who's joining us. There's somebody. Okay, I think it's live. Wait. I don't know. Yep, I think it's live. It kind of looks weird on my end because I don't really see comments, but I think it's live. How cool is that? There we go.
There you go.
There, it's going. Okay. So you're settled back in from Dallas, and have you been able to get the book or read any of it?
You know, I did not get the hard copy, but I've got it on Audible, and I've been listening to it.
You could have listened to it while on your drive from Dallas.
Yeah. That's what I've been doing.
Cool.
You know, it's really an interesting book.
It is.
Especially when we talk about multitasking.
Right.
He's hardcore on that. There's no such thing.
No, and I catch myself doing it going, okay, you stop and then like refocus. And I think I've gotten better at it, just being aware of the multitasking part of it.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know, as a buyer for so many years, that was actually just kind of the norm, because you had people coming at you from all different directions. You were under deadlines all day and that sort of thing. So you were multitasking just for survival. And what's sad is, like he says in the book, you really don't do well at any one thing because of it.
Yep.
So.
The only question. This week I wanted to go through part 2, the truth. I'm not sure. Are we there? Are we ready for part 2?
I have not done part 2 yet, I don't think.
Seems like I might have skipped some parts because we had just finished talking about multitasking and stuff last week, I think.
Let me see what I got here.
And then it goes into a disciplined life, developing habits. Willpower is always on a will call. And then it talks about...
Actually, disciplined life is where I'm at right now. So you're part 2. Have you already done part 2? Or read part 2?
Yeah, I was trying to remember where we left off last week.
I think you were talking about, I don't know if you got the big is bad, on a balanced life, I think.
Yeah, I think that's what we were at. Balanced life. And I feel like I have the true challenge of a balanced life. Being a mom. Full businesses.
Yep.
I'm the epitome. So I remember when I first started being a mom and balancing businesses or whatever, I would do like my grocery shopping during the week. I was like, oh, it's so much better. No, less lines, and
enough fighting the crowd.
Stuff like that. And then some reason got in my head that I'm like, oh, I probably need to work during the week, for my business. And it kind of changed. And I was like, okay, I'll do all my work during the week and do my shopping on the weekend. And then realizing, it takes more time on the weekends to do the shopping and stuff that I was doing during the week. So then I've rebalanced myself again, going, it's not worth it.
Yeah, and really that's one of the advantages of being an entrepreneur, especially if you're not tied to a brick and mortar shop or something like that. You can schedule at your convenience rather than it's like my wife thinks of going to Costco and it's always on a freaking weekend. I tell her, dear, can't do that. You forget what it's like at Costco on the weekend. It's just insane. I mean, you can hardly find a parking spot in the parking lot.
Wow.
So I tell her, dear, you're not working a job. Why don't you go to Costco during the week when it's quieter?
Yeah.
But I think it's more difficult to have a balanced life today than it's ever been because we're so bombarded with media
Hmm.
and always distracted with the smartphones and all that. And it really takes some discipline to put it down sometime. It's like our rule is we never have a phone out on the table when we're either at dinner or we're out to dinner,
Right.
so we can have a conversation and we're not distracted. Because you're in media. It's difficult to
Yeah.
not
So
look at that thing
my mentor
every
gave me a
30
huge
seconds.
tip to kind of figure that out. And my parents are huge advocates as well because it's super annoying, as I know you experienced as well. But I got this one app and I need to realign it back with my daughter. She got a new computer. It's called Rescue Time. I put it on all of my devices. And I actually I was working my business and I saw that I was spending 60 to 80 hours on the computer a week. And I
Mm,
was like, dang, something needs to be fixed. And I
yep.
looked at where I was spending my time for all these applications and saying, why am I spending so much time on it? What am I really doing that's productive,
Yeah.
that I need to do, that, I absolutely have to do in there, where
Hmm.
it's kind of wasting time. This really shouldn't be done. And
Right.
after evaluating that, I went from 40 to 60 to 80. I mean, it was huge hours. I cut
Yep.
it back down to 4 hours. And I was like,
4 hours.
if I am down to like the 4 hour work week, and like it was a challenge to figure that out. Like I remember I had a productivity group, and every week I would share my goals, what I'm going to do in this, to cut it down, stay really focused. And
Hmm.
I can't believe I got down to 40 hours. Now I look at it and I do a little bit more. I'm probably 5 to 6 hours, say a day on my phone total,
Hmm.
and then 14 to 20 on my computer. So,
Well, and to a certain extent, part of that is work. It's
oh
part
yeah, I
of it
look
is
at
your
all of it
business.
work. I was looking at my daughter, and
Yeah.
you're spending 25 hours a week on YouTube. What are you watching? Like, what
Yeah.
are Roblox? Like, you
Yeah.
spent 20 hours on Roblox this week? Do you understand? I'm like, girl, refocus. Why are you on Roblox so much?
Yep.
you know? So it really
It
shows,
becomes addictive.
like, yeah. I should probably be stretching and doing other stuff. Like, so she knows too. I've like imparted to her. It's like, I don't have to tell you. The stats tell you. Like,
Now, this is an app on your device that
all the
tracks
devices, it tracks it. It's called Rescue Time.
rescue time.
Yeah, it's
Interesting.
huge. It's changed my life. Kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I tell everybody about it. Like, just download it. It can give you a weekly report, and even like time work I do for other people. Like if I need to do their websites or stuff like that, it'll
Hmm.
how much time I spent it. So even if I am distracted and I need to go answer a message in Facebook or whatever, it'll still track the time I'm doing on their website or whatever like that.
Right.
So I don't have to like turn off, because that would get annoying too, going to toggle
Yeah.
or whatever I use for that stuff. So.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, it's really been huge. So I'll share some of these tips in the balanced life
All right.
from in here. Um,
Grab.
I think the most important thing is, as you do, is find purpose and meaning, and really where the focus is. So it talks about, what the myth is in a balanced life, and being coined like technology rays, and why work-life myth balance. It says there is actually mentioned in the newspaper and magazine articles that this work-life myth balance is really raised since 2007, 2008. And I think that's when like a lot of people going through the crisis kind of, lost jobs or whatever, probably is why
Mm-hmm.
it's so high. And now it's kind of gone back in balance out. And also it has a section on middle mismanagement. And mine has an underlying sentence that says, in your effort to attend all things, everything gets shortchanged and nothing gets its due. So it's balancing the middle life because you're too far away from knowing exactly what you're focusing on. Knowing when to pursue the middle is when to pursue the extremes in essence of true beginning wisdom. Um, I think this was a little confusing because you're like trying to play the middle game. You're not sure what's more important. I think it's like balancing those priorities. So it has a couple of what's work life in the middle and what's work life in the exchange. Are you doing both? And I think I talked a little bit about this like last week. Like I have really struggled at going, am I spending too much time on my business versus for my daughter? Going like,
Right.
I'm making more videos for my business than I am for my daughter, and sharing life about that. So I
Yeah.
want to make sure I'm doing both. But yet then I've also been in the challenge where my mom's like, you don't need to do videos in the car. That's so dangerous, especially with your girl in the background. And I'm like, like, I can't do videos in the car. And then I'm like, I need to make videos, and then I don't need to expose her in different things, different ways. And so it's like keeping that balance of doing it the right way.
Yeah.
So I don't make a lot of videos with her really about business in it anymore. And if I do, she gets kind of annoyed because she's a little older now. She could play in the background, and it was
Yeah.
okay when she was little. Now it's not so cool, Go make your mask and then do a green shot through me or something.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny like that. But,
That's funny.
yeah, that's what it really is. So I guess I think it talks about that here. Do you really think you can ever get back to your child's bedtime or birthday? Imagine it's a party for your 5-year-old, and imagine imaginary pals at the same dinner with the teenage with the high school friends. Is the adult attending the young child's soccer game at bar and attending the soccer game with an adult child? Do you think you can deal with God that times strangely hold you off for anything important until you're ready to participate again? When you gamble with your time, you'll be placing a bet you can't cover. So it replaces that balance with counterbalance, and what you experience makes sense. So counterbalancing, and then you want to maybe do more work and spend more in your life. This is kind of crazy. To achieve an extraordinary result, you must choose what matters most and give it all the time it demands. This requires getting extremely out of balance in relation to all other work issues, with only infrequent counterbalance to address them. So what's your feedback on the counterbalancing work life? Is it more priorities, or is it just kind of, I don't know.
I think you have to really look at what your priorities are and determine really which are priorities. Are they really a priority, or is it something you've been doing on a routine that you really don't need to be doing or don't need to be spending as much time on? And that's probably both in work life and in your home life. To where you so you can spend more time on those things that are a true priority and will get you help you reach your goal. I know I have so much all my life in the job that I've had in buying. There's a lot of busy work, and a lot of it is not necessary. And
Right.
you have to really take a look And sometimes ask the question, is this really necessary? What are we accomplishing with it? When there's other things we could be focusing on that are a higher priority, and do better at those things, whether it's in a job or in our work life or our home life.
True. Yeah, this question helps you understand where the priorities should be. Did you go short or long?
Mm-hmm.
So in your personal life, did you go short and avoid the long periods of where you're out of balance? Going short lets you stay connected to all the things that matter most and move them along together. In your professional life, go long and make peace with the idea that the pursuit of extraordinary results may require you to be out of balance for long periods. Going long allows you to focus on what matters most, even at the expense of other lesser priorities. In your personal life, nothing gets left behind. At work, it's required.
Hmm. Yeah, I'll make sure this week I'm going to get through part 2 all the way.
Yeah.
Balanced life and big is bad. I have not gotten to yet, so I need to do those, get through those, and then the 3 chapters in part 2. I'm still going to pick up a hard copy because listening to it's fine, but to really make notes.
Yeah, to review it, the hard copy does help because I'd be like, let me think about what was said in its tab.
Right.
It says there are 4 balls: family, health, friends, integrity. They're made of glass. If you drop one of these, it will be irrevocably scuffed, nicked, and perhaps even shattered. So keeping them all in the air. So there's big ideas at the end of this, and I think this helps understand how you can set a priority and act on it. The next one is think about 2 balancing buckets. Separate your work life and personal life into 2 distinct buckets. Not compartmentalize them just for counterbalance. Each has their own counterbalancing goals and approaches. And number 2, counterbalance your work bucket. View work as an evolving skill or knowledge that must be mastered. This will cause you to disappropriate your time to your one thing and will throw the rest of your work day, week, month, and year continually out of balance. Your work life is divided into 2 distinct areas: what matters most and everything else. You will have to take what matters to the extremes and be okay with what happens to the rest. Professional success requires it.
I know the worst thing I've seen anybody do, and it's one thing that I did decide early on, is I do not take work home. If I have a job, it's not a business or anything, it's a job. I figure if I can't get it done during normal working hours, then it's probably not important. And I see people do that all the time. They're always having to work on the weekend, and I don't understand why. But I also know that the concept that work expands to the time allotted. Mm-hmm. If you have someone that has decided they're going to work on the weekends, take work home, then they don't fit everything in the normal work week, because it's already in their mind that, okay, if I don't get it done now, I'll get it done on the weekend. And that's the worst thing you can do, especially when you have a family. Right. And it's so unnecessary most of the time.
Right.
So.
Yeah, there's several people I know that are like that, and they're really good at separating that, and they are more work oriented. And being a business owner is the challenge of how do you separate that, because you are working at home, but yet you have to set aside, this is my family time. This is, the time for this. And you got to know, are you making that time for the family when you kind of really mix it that much? And so
It is different if you're a business owner
yeah.
because it is all on you. You
Mm-hmm.
can't just turn a computer off and say, I'll get it Monday. In a job, you can get away with that a lot of times, but not when it's going to hit your bottom line if it doesn't get done. So I
Yeah.
understand that.
And then counterbalance your personal life bucket. Acknowledge that your life actually has multiple areas and that each requires a minimum of attention for you to feel that you have a life. Drop anyone and you will feel the effects. This requires constant awareness. You must never go too long or too far without counterbalancing them, so they are all active areas of your life. Your personal life requires it. Start leading a counterbalanced life. Let things take precedence when they should, and get to the rest when you can. An extraordinary life is a counterbalancing act.
Hmm.
So don't stress. Life must go on.
That's right. That is exactly right.
um, Big is bad. And I almost thought this is like thinking, I had this book called like Thinking Big. And I always thought thinking big was like, I'm the rich person or reaching that. And I think this is like going beyond comfortable or going just beyond what you really think is reality too. So I
Mhm.
think maybe it's going in that direction for this chapter. So it has a section of the Big Bad Wolf, Big Bad John from the folk tale songs. So that's the approach I think it's taking. Big bad is a lie. Who's afraid of the big bad big? Not me, not me. So it can be that that already the perceived notion or the perceived look or perception of it.
Mhm.
Some people think it's hard, complicated, time consuming, difficult to get there, complex once you do. Pretty much sums of you overwhelming, imitating is how you feel for this next task or this next job or this next, um, things coming through, this next business, like this next um, product I need to create. I'm like, I haven't started because there's a lot
Next project.
of it. I'm not sure if this platform was supported and all those kind of things. Um, so this reinforces a disease, the very idea of big, invent the word, call it megaphobia, an irrational fear of big. Don't be afraid of the megaphobia.
Megaphobia.
Has a section called Flat Wrong. How many ships didn't sail because of the belief that the earth was flat?
A lot.
Um, when you allow yourself to accept that big is about who you can become, you look at it differently. I always had a mentor saying, you're on the road to momentum. You're on the road to momentum. And this is kind of how I look at it, going, I'm always on the road to momentum. You feel like that. You're almost there. Keep going. And so that's that encouragement push,
Right.
You don't really know what's on the other side of big. Just keep going.
Right.
There's a section called Going Big. And thinking big is essential to extraordinary results. Success requires action. Action requires thought. But here's the catch. Only the actions that become the springboard to succeeding big are those informed by big thinking to begin with. Make this connection, the importance of how big you think begins to sink in. So I had to do this a lot with visualization. And it really did help me get through my court cases of not being able to move.
Mm-hmm.
because I had to go up against court and two times as Supreme Court, just waiting on, can I move to Houston? Can I, finally move forward for this? So I had to do a lot of visualizations. As this is in my control. I can move. I was visualizing, what it would look like, and then the day came true. Like, here's my apartment. Here's I'm moving in, and
Mm-hmm.
like the day came true, and it was just so neat that I wanted this so bad, or I was visualizing it so strong that every day, just like, just every day, visualize it. Just visualize what you really want. And it finally came true. So after that, I've been just kind of like coasting now. I'm like, I'm living my dream. I'm living my dream. I'm finally in Houston. And
Yeah, it's like writing a goal statement, but that goal statement is actually in the future, and
yes,
you're visualizing and stating where you're at the end of 2020, and what success you've found, and all that. And because what is it? I've been told your brain doesn't know the difference between uh, what's real and what's not. And so if you keep telling yourself that it has happened, it sets your subconscious to make it happen.
yeah, it was huge.
Yeah.
And so now I'm trying to find new things through difficulties and traumas and things happen in my life to say, what is it? What is it? What I really want will make me happy. And sometimes it's a challenge because I imagine one thing, and I understand that will never happen. And then I try to figure out what is real, what will really happen.
Mm-hmm.
So it has a couple sections to help you figure this out. And in this book, it has a couple of graphics. Think big. I'm not sure if
Mm-hmm.
you can really see that.
No, I can see it. Oh
Think
yeah.
big, big, and
Yeah, the main thing is that the goal has to, big goals are great, but they have to be attainable. You have to, so you're not, well, you literally set yourself up for failure if the goal you set is truly not attainable, at least when you want it to happen.
right,
You need to stretch a little, but don't get carried away.
right. Yeah, as I said, you need to think small steps so I can really see me moving here. So,
Mm-hmm.
steps going, do you have enough money for the move? What is the move? All these little details. And
Mm-hmm.
slowly getting more clear, I was able to see, okay, we visit and like see how much the apartments are, get the detail and really see the apartment which we want, and all these little
Right.
details to get me moving there. Um, Everything started getting more clear. Um, And so it's when people talk about reinventing their career or business, small boxes are often the root cause. What you build today will either empower or restrict you tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Um, then it talks about the big deal. There's a new section. And there's a lot of resources in here. I want to say several books and stuff, stories that it relates to. And it has a an example from Scott Forstall. Started a recruiting talent to his newly formed team. He warned that the top secret project would be ample opportunities to make mistakes and struggle, but eventually we may do something that we'll remember the rest of our lives. I don't know why this triggered for me, but there was a really great piano teacher I had in college.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, you can take from her and if you make it and you survive, you'll be a really great piano teacher. You're a really great piano player from it.
Mm-hmm.
I cried at every lesson. She was the toughest piano teacher I have ever had, ever met, ever been through. She had 10%. She could only see 10%. She was blind. and she was so strict. She wouldn't like hit my fingers, but every mistake I made, she would go back and she would color pencil every single mistake in there and say, you just can't play wrong notes in front of me. You know, it's just, she had a standard and I cried every time. And this, you know, breaks me going, I remember her standard. She said it clear. Don't ever make a mistake in front of me. Go back and practice 4 more hours till you're done with your wrong notes. Like, let's get past the wrong notes. It was standard. You have to play all right notes. Why are you freaking making wrong notes in front of me? And that remembers like the mistakes. Like, yeah, I made wrong notes. Like, freaking, I just want to play piano without wrong notes. You know.
Yeah.
Finally get past that. And it seems so simple, but that was her standard, you know? And when you understand that's my standard, I don't even when you play wrong notes, like freaking play the right notes. Here,
nothing but excellence.
Do anything else right, but play the freaking right notes. You know? Yeah. That's a standard. Get it done. Then you know what's beyond that. Then you know, like, oh, now I can like, you know, play it musically. It's a new beat. It's finally all correct. And you see like the bigger picture, you know, of the whole, like, I'm on stage, maybe it can be memorized. I got the right notes now.
Yeah.
So I think that understanding where you're going to make mistakes until you understand your standard will let you succeed and see the big picture. So that's what triggered for me. I don't know.
Yeah, that's funny.
The next section is blowing up your life. Big stands for greatness, extraordinary results. Pursue a big life, and you're pursuing the greatest life you can possibly live. To live great, you have to think big. You must open the possibility that your life and what you accomplish can become great. Achievement and abundance show up because they're natural outcomes of doing the right things with no limits attached. So don't fear big, fear mediocrity, fear waste, fear the lack of living to your fullest. When we fear big, we either consciously or subconsciously work against it. We either run toward lesser outcomes or opportunities, or we simply run away from the big wins. Courage isn't the absence of fear, but moving past it, and thinking big isn't the absence of doubts, but moving past them. Only living big will let you experience your true life and work potential.
Yeah, if you don't, it really comes down to fear of failure. You're afraid to fail, so you don't try, or you don't go as big as you should. And that's, I look in the mirror and tell myself that, because I've been guilty of that a big part of my life. And you end up settling for mediocrity, which is not good. So I'm 72 years old. I'm still a work in progress.
Oh,
I'm not done yet.
Yeah, it's huge.
It's like speaking at the last local event. It was only 15 minutes, but it was a big accomplishment for me.
Yeah, and it was the biggest one they were at. I always think if you fear that you know, going big or, you know, failing and stuff like that, I look at it as selfish too. You know, you're not living up to your full potential. You're not truly helping other people. So I kind of, it's partially like a little bit religious with me as well, because you're not helping other people. You're staying stuck where you are, and you're not serving really who you can really help and stuff like that. So
that's right.
Kind of goes full circle, I guess, in a way for me as well. With
Right.
It has 4 steps of big ideas here at the end of this chapter. Number 1 is think big. And the question is, avoid incremental thinking that simply asks, what do I do next? This is at best the slow lane to success and at worst the off-ramp. Think bigger questions. A good rule of thumb is to double down everywhere in your life. If your goal is 10, ask the question, how can I reach 20? Set a goal far above what you want. You'll be planning a plan that practically guarantees your original goal. So I always think the 10x rule for this one. Have you read that book?
What is it?
10x rule?
10x rule? No. Haven't read that one.
Take your goal, 10x it. Point break, 10x it. And I mean, that's a huge hashtag, 10x.
Yeah.
So go research that book. That like right there. There's huge stories for that. Two is, don't order from the menu. Apple celebrated 1997 Think Different ad campaign. Feature icons like Ali Dillon, Einstein, Hitchcock, Picasso, Gandhi, and others who saw things differently, who went on to transform the world we know. The point is that they didn't choose from available options. They imagined outcomes that no one else had. They ignored the menu and ordered their own creations. As the ad reminded us, people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the only ones who do.
Thinking outside the box.
Yeah. And thinking your own creation. And I know that's a challenge, but I also believe in part modeling until you find your own creation as well. Especially with music and stuff, I have to take, hey, which version did you like? Which, singer, whatever resonates best with you, so you can find your own creation in it. And are you pleased with your creation compared to what you really like? It's really huge for me, especially in the music world, to do comparing and modeling and finding your own creation. I don't like her ending. I want a different. Let's discover that.
Yeah.
And it's a challenge to create your own, because I don't create music, and it's a challenge for me to do that because of think different. Like, I don't want to create my own song.
Oh, yeah, that's it is funny though that some people, it just comes right out and they create.
Jingle right there,
Now, some try that and don't do well at it, but they did try.
That's right.
But that's okay. You've got a base to work with. Who knows? You may be a great songwriter yet one day.
That's right. Right. I'll have a famous song one day and make billions of dollars.
There you go.
Yeah, I'll check it out.
Start with millions.
I'm already thinking big.
10x.
Think big, billions. And number 3 is act bold. Big thoughts go nowhere without bold action. Once you've asked a big question, pause to imagine what life looks like with the answer. If you can't imagine it, go study people who have already achieved it. What are the models, systems, habits, and relationships of other people who have found the answer? As much as we like to believe we're all different, what consistently works for others will almost always work for us. So I think this repeats what I was saying about, modeling other people. What has worked. You can do some research to other people and, this is how they did accomplish this. Just get some ideas so you know where to go.
Well, look how many songs have been written by taking an original song and changing it.
Right. And most of the popular singers now are going back and sing other singers' songs too, original songs. And sometimes it's good and sometimes it's not. I like the original version better. And really the true test of the audience gives a good opinion about that.
Sure.
Even on the spot. Because I've seen like Kelly Clarkson sing, anything. She's like, give it to me and I'll sing another version of it. So, and sometimes I don't like her version compared to, the original.
Sure. We'll try it.
It's like, I understand, like everybody has their style and can't imitate everybody's, and everybody likes it. So I got it too.
But the big thing is that they try it.
Yeah, we heard him. We got it.
Don't know until you try it.
You got it. Number 4 is don't fear failure. It's as much as part of your journey to extraordinary results and success. Adopt a growth mindset and don't be afraid of where it can take you. Extraordinary results aren't built solely on extraordinary results. They're built on failure too. In fact, it would be accurate to say that we fail our way to success. When we fail, we stop, ask what we need to do to succeed, learn from our mistakes, and grow. Don't be afraid to fail. See it as part of your learning process to keep striving for your true potential. Don't let small thinking cut your life down to size. Think big, aim high, act bold, and just see how big you can blow up your life. That's my definition of hope.
Oh yeah. I like where they say fail your way to success.
Yes.
Because you take someone that has never failed, they're going to fail.
Yeah.
They have some successes, but they will fail.
Yeah.
That's where the learning experiences are.
Right. And I call it a lot in campaign, I failed to play the wrong notes, but also in marketing, I have to keep testing. Can't guarantee anything. You just have to throw something out there to test it, to figure out really which direction you're going to go next. Say, okay, you blew it out there, you tested this audience. Now either go fishing in another hole, like that totally didn't work. You need to scratch that, test something totally different, or weed out part of that, say, hey, part of that was good, and let's, add to it too.
Sure.
So a lot of testing to figure out and grow, because it's not always going to be, hey, that was a winning campaign.
Yeah.
You got 21 clicks and you got a person in the gym. Woo!
Yeah. You'd be retired by now if that was happening.
Yes. And then it goes on, the truth, the simplicity to productivity. So that starts the next part of part 2, the focus question.
Okay.
So this one is really deep in part 2, and I was looking at life's a question. It has really the big question in it. So I think if we take the first little section of the focusing question, it'll kind of help us guide this week on how we take what we just learned and blowing up our life, ready for keeping a balanced life, all the 10x goals we're going to reach through this, and focus with the question. And it's the question starts with that big picture thinking, and also has the small picture. So I like this little analogy there.
Oh yeah.
Big one. And so our small focus is on the one thing right now, and then the big picture, what is my one thing? And if we can focus this one question this week on that, it would help us. It's called the focusing question, really. It's the one thing I can do, such by doing it, everything else will be easier and necessary. It's the same question coming on. And I think the homework for me this week is to go through this question, through this big part, and really focus that on each part of the life. So it has this little diagram there, focusing on each part of your life, your spiritual life, physical life, personal life, relationships, job, business, finances. And ask that one question for each part of our life. What's the one thing I can do such that by doing it, everything else will be easier and necessary? So I think that's going to take some reflection time, and it would be best to write that out, I think, Uh,
Yeah.
um,
I'm going to pick up a copy, a hard copy tomorrow.
yeah, and evaluate that will help you see it. That's what I said. This one will take some work.
Yeah.
kind of go through. I can't just say, "Hey, what do you think?" I'll be like, let me work on that." you know. Um, so it has several poems in here that was really meaningful for this focusing question, and it helps, I think, relate the story. So maybe we'll discuss that more next week.
Okay.
Maybe you want to share maybe one thing we're working on this week, and then our big picture. What's the one thing you can do this week by everything else become easier or unnecessary? It's one thing you're going to focus on this week.
Okay.
You got an answer? No. Sometimes it's like the routine, like, dang it, I just freaking want to finish my video. I was talking to my mom earlier today. I was like, you know what? I didn't make my video I said I was going to by next week. I'm like, maybe I should go do that right now. And then I go and take a nap, and I totally don't. I'm like, no, I need to sleep.
You got plenty of time to sleep when you're dead.
Oh my goodness, stop. Be careful how you interpreted the world. It is like that. That's the quote here, Eric Heller. That reminded me. Like, no. That's so funny.
Yep.
I know it's hard to figure out what that one thing should be.
Yeah.
So ask, how do you know what the first one thing should be? And the focusing question: did you notice that both of these great men discovered advice and secrets? So it talks about Mark Twain and Carnegie, and the secret that some people know is they don't give proper weight or importance. Because the Chinese proverb says a journey of 1,000 miles must begin with a single step. So that's what I said. If you haven't done the first step, like I still haven't made my video, then how do I know I can move forward? So I'm going to put in my schedule tomorrow. I'm going to schedule it right now when I'm going to do my video.
Okay.
And get it done tomorrow. And start my first video for my karaoke mastermind project or whatever I'm doing for the because the sessions are going to come up in the next week or so for my community's education for that. Now I want to be prepared for my first class of what I'm going to say. Here's the mastermind part to kind of go through and some action steps. So I just need to prepare for that first step. I've got it like all outlined kind of in a way, but I need to take action and have it ready and prepared.
Okay.
So that'll be my first action going. I'll be a week early. I'll pretend that it is this Tuesday, and Monday it's going to be done. So I'm ready,
Yeah. Move on.
Yeah, because I'm going to have to do the same thing twice, one for karaoke and one for marketing. So I'm doing two. I know the marketing one seems like it might be a little easier, but since I haven't really created a karaoke product, I already have like some stuff online for my marketing. So I'm like, I'll just throw it in there, but my karaoke, I don't have it. My blog kind of went down and stuff. So that's my one thing on there.
I think my one thing this week is actually there's only 5 basic steps that I do with my business, and the one thing I need is to be more consistent with those steps, to where I'm doing them every day, and so it actually becomes a habit. It just comes natural, and that's really where I need to. That's the one thing I need to focus on this week.
Yeah, it's I got my team to accomplish this by sharing. You have 5 steps every day. This is consistent routine. Um,
Mm-hmm.
it's on the to-do list, but I want you to tell me when you've accomplished this. I don't care what time of day it is. It's got to be before midnight before you go to sleep for the next day. What did you accomplish? And I had them do it probably on a blog post comment every day. And I know
Mm-hmm.
people do it in a Facebook group, or find where you're going to put your accomplishment. I have a productivity group. If you like to join that and say, hey, I accomplished this or whatever, that
Yeah.
would, some accountability.
Well, yeah, and I
Partner.
have an accountability group that just started last week with my business,
Yeah.
and runs for 90 days. So,
Yeah, right.
and I have to.
If
I
there's
turn.
somewhere in there you write that you accomplished, what you accomplished in it.
I've got a sheet that I have to check off
Yeah.
on what I've accomplished.
Flashes, yeah. As I said, you probably have some things in place. Not that I'm going to add another one, but just saying that process,
Yeah.
whatever that is for you,
Mm-hmm.
always like put yourself, am I doing it right now? I got to say I accomplished it. How fast can I say I accomplished it in the process? And yeah, I think that's where I want to like finish off to put our question in place, right?
Okay.
You're going to accomplish that every day. See if you can accomplish all of them one day. I don't know how your, routine is on being consistent. And I
Mm-hmm.
would be like, if I didn't finish this Monday, I would have put it back on Tuesday until this is, done.
Yeah, it's like one step is to meet 2 new people every day,
Yeah.
and I've got a very highly successful partner that she doesn't go home until she's met 2 people.
Yeah.
She go out of her way to go
Yeah.
meet
Let me
those.
stop at the gas station.
Yeah, and force herself to do that, and that's what I need to do because I get in such a routine. Especially, I think the older you get, the more you get into a routine.
Yeah.
Uh, in your
I
comfort.
have tools for that. Automatically add new friends for you.
Yeah, there you go.
So yeah, it's really exploded some people. I'm like, I had a shout out last week from a jeweler. I did his Facebook marketing for maybe almost a year, and I grew his friends list from like 300 friends, maybe he even had that many, to like 1,200 friends or something like that. And he stopped the services probably about a year ago. So I was doing it for a year, stopped doing it, and he still gave me a shout out. He says all the connections that I had made for him during that time, he's still profiting from. He's still making sales. He's still getting connections. He's still, that was his target audience. Like that still is helping me today. I'm like, that's what I want to hear. I'm like, those connections I made and they're long lasting and,
Mm-hmm.
got residual money, from the services that I provided for you. And that was just humbling to hear going, wow, I did help you and making
Great.
lasting connections from the little, adding stuff that I did for him. So that was humbling to hear going,
I'd like to talk to you about.
A year later, you're going to stop services.
Yeah, I would like to talk to you about that.
Sure.
I need to expand in that area.
Yeah, if you're not doing it on your own, doing it, like set it up on autopilot with me and it will get done.
Yeah, let's.
I grew his friends list, autopilot, and still profiting today. Going, wow, that's so humbling.
And it targets the friends that you want.
Yeah, so I target like the groups you're already in. He was already in several networking groups, and I added them all as friends. He wasn't doing that. It was not. I was like, they're sitting there. You're already connected in some way. Obviously, add them as friends.
Yeah.
So they already made that connection. It was, so I go that route first. Make sure you're already somewhat connected. You like this group or, that targeted person that you want to connect.
All right.
want to get crazy people. You know, if it gets crazy, I do unfriend, you know, so
Yeah.
I was like, I want to make sure you're connected with the right people. There's, you know, long lasting friendships that keep profiting. You know, I don't want crazy people. And I had done that before with one person. We had targeted the wrong audience. I was saying, you sure you want to do this buy and sell group? You know, there might be, you may not like everybody in this buy and sell group, you know, and it wasn't. She had some creepers in there, started doing weird stuff to her messenger, and I started blocking and unfriending almost everybody from her entire friend list. She took some time off from it because it's, you know, energy totally whacked her out. I'm like, I understand. It's like, totally don't delete your account because it was associated with their business and, you know, family photos and tons of stuff. And then she started adding friends back on her own. It's like, I understand, you know, I want to respect who you're connected to, and I don't want to mess that up. So I have gone both routes going, I'll unfriend, I'll you know, delete whatever I've done, you know, or unfriend or whatever too. So I totally was like, no, both routes. This is going to happen.
All right.
Anything that's not going to be congruent to you, who you are, for sure.
Yeah.
So,
All right.
yeah. So it's exciting. We're having a great
Cool.
big week. Thank you
Yep.
for joining me on this Mastermind. Is very empowering and thinking big this week. And hope
Amen.
people, whoever watches our recording, gets value from it as well and can give us some more insights to think bigger.
Yeah.
More stories from our crazy ones. And looking forward to next week, to definitely going through the one thing in each part of our lives. And I think that will make a huge refocus, definitely for me, on getting more focus in different areas of my life. I'm excited. Yeah.
All right.
Thanks, Dan.
Go ahead, Alecia.
Good night.
Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.